Back to the practice experience. So the first year we again looked at 30 children. Over the next 7 years, we looked at ever increasingly larger number of kids.
Posteriormente, por durante 7 años hemos encontrado un crecimiento grande de niños.
By the 7th to 6th season, we used transfer factor or transfer factor plus, a transfer factor product in over 1,000 children in that 1 year, and we looked at 680 or so of those kids critically.
Para la 7ª y 8ª temporada hemos hecho práctica con más de
First 1,000, and then of those 1,680 we looked at.
Primeramente 1,000 niños y posteriormente 1,600 niños.
And again, we compared those 680 user kids to 680 of the same age and same sex, and we compared their medical histories, their health histories, their emergency room visits, and drug use.
Perdón, el número es 680 niños. Hemos comparado con 680 niños las diferencias.
And amazingly enough, we found 70 to 75% less illness and 80 to 85% less antibiotics.
Y encontramos otra vez que había un mejoramiento de 70% en el uso de los antibióticos y menos acceso a las enfermedades.
And within a year or so, a Russian study in a small number of children, 30 to 40 children in Russia, a study was done using, again, transfer factor, and they found virtually exactly the same results.
También se hizo un estudio en Rusia con también una cantidad de 30 a 40 niños y se encontró los mismos resultados.
And just to let everybody know, we did use, for the most part, transfer factor classic, and we'll get to some of the differences in the products in a few minutes.
Solamente para contar de que se usó el llamado factor de transferencia clásico. En unos minutos veremos algunas diferencias de los productos.
And one of the reasons I'm making a specific point about this is that transfer factor classic is the least expensive transfer factor product we have, and it's the easiest tolerated, and it's the easiest to get into kids. And that's why I'm making additional mention.
Estoy puntualizando esto porque el factor de transferencia clásico del producto es relativamente un poco más barato y accesible. Por eso estoy haciendo este punto.
Okay, before we get on to the products, I just want to make one mention. We looked at the socioeconomic possibility of savings, of socioeconomic savings of the user group of children who use transfer factor.
Estamos mirando la parte sociológica, los ahorros que se hacen de aquellos niños que están usando los factores de transferencia.
And what we did was we looked at the cost of their medical care, the cost of their prescriptions, and compared them to the cost of medical care and prescriptions for the non-user group as well.
Lo que hacemos es comparamos los récords de los gastos médicos que se han hecho lo que hacemos es comparamos estos gastos, los gastos médicos que se han hecho en niños que están tomando los factores de transferencia.
And what we found is after we subtracted the cost of transfer factor classic, that each family was able to save per child around $300+ per child per 6 seasons.
Lo que encontramos es un ahorro de $300 por sesión de año en los niños que están tomando los factores de transferencia.
So that means the families were able to buy transfer factor and at the same time save $300 in medical care costs. Now, this does not include these parents being able to continue to go to work. It does not include having to hire additional babysitters for sick kids at home. It does not include quality of life issues like children being able to go to daycare, children continuing in school. Those are all very difficult to measure and in ways immeasurable.
Estos ahorros solamente se ven la parte de médicos. No estamos tomando en cuenta que el niño tenga, que el padre deje de trabajar o que el niño tenga que hacer uso de una persona que le cuide la casa.
And I'm just going to use, I know many of you are not from the U.S., but I'm going to use the U.S. as an example as to what kind of impact this can have on medical costs.
Yo sé que muchas personas no viven en este país, pero voy a tomar por ejemplo las personas que viven en este país.
There are approximately 75 million children newborn to 18 years old in the United States right now. 75 million.
Hay cerca de 75 millones nuevos nacidos en este país.
And let's assume that each one of those children, can you imagine this? For Life Research has each American child taking transfer factor every day. Let's just imagine.
Que estén tomando los factores de transferencia.
At $300 savings per child, at 75 million would save in medical care costs $225 billion. Yes, that's in this country, and this is a small population country compared to the rest of the world.
Y esto ahorraría aproximadamente 225 billones de dólares solamente niños que han nacido en este país. Imagínense esto con niños alrededor del mundo.
And that's approximately, if you average it out, it's approximately $100 billion worth of transfer factor. How cool would that be?
Es acerca aproximadamente 100 billones de dólares en ahorros alrededor del mundo. Qué bueno sería.
In addition to the general pediatric population in our practice, we also supplemented and supported many children with very serious challenges as well.
Y esto también mejoraría la salud de niños que tienen muchos problemas también.
And that included children with very serious infectious diseases. And without exception, there was a very positive impact on the health and wellness of each of these children using either transfer factor or transfer factor plus.
Existen niños que tienen realmente problemas muy grandes de enfermedades y imagínense el impacto que esta causaría.
So, our first 7 or 8 years of pediatric experience using TF or TF plus. And this is the old TF plus, not the TF plus that you guys have currently available to you. Okay, that's TF plus trifactor. But there is no question that it had a significant impact on the health and wellness and on the quality of lives of 75 out of 100 children who used this product line.
Entonces, imagínense todo lo que hemos dicho y con los factores de transferencia el clásico, o sea, el anterior, no el que se está usando hoy, y imagínense todo lo bueno que esto causaría.
Now, just a couple of comments about what we would recommend that you supplement your children, grandchildren, and beloved kids with. I think you all would know that I'm a strong believer in natural vitamins and minerals. So TF Kids is unquestionably one of the better general vitamin mineral products out in the marketplace today.
Realmente no hay duda que el uso de los factores de transferencia y los suplementos vitamínicos que hacen algo totalmente, cambian la vida de un niño y hacen lo mejor para él.
So, if one chose not to use it for whatever reasons, a good natural-based vitamin mineral preparation is very important. Over-the-counter preparations, I'm going to be harsh and say that many of them are garbage. The body does not absorb them well, and they're not utilized by the body at all.
Muchos de los suplementos vitamínicos que ustedes compran en farmacias y van y lo compran, realmente
son basura.
Basura, como lo dice aquí, no lo recomendaría.
And if your children, by the way, don't like the taste of TF Kids, just grind it up and stick it in either applesauce or yogurt or something relatively sweet, and they won't even know that it's there.
Yeah.
Y si sus niños tienen problemas con pasar los productos de factores de transferencia, mézclenlo con algo como con el pedacito de manzana, algo dulce, y pues déselo.
By the way, TF Kids is used by older people as well who like to chew their vitamins rather than swallow capsules. Sorry for that. TF Kids is used by older people as well who like to chew their vitamins rather than swallow capsules.
Okay. Por si acaso, los productos factores de transferencia para niños también están usados por los adultos.
Obviously, it's a good idea to have, even if you use TF Kids, it's a good idea to have at least 1, maybe 2 bottles of either transfer factor or classic trifactor or transfer factor plus in the house for those moments of significant challenge.
Aquellos niños en la casa que toman los factores de transferencia pues para niños, es recomendable también que las mamás, papás tomen los transfer factor plus, que es los factores de transferencia que los van a necesitar.
And the one other thing that I would add from pretty much as a definite, and you'll hear more and more about this over the next weeks and months, is to add probiotics to children's diets as well. Remember, we live in a world that has an enormous amount of antibiotics in it, either given by your doctor or taken passively when we eat the meat and fish that we consume.
En los próximos meses también vamos a incluir los llamados probióticos también para los suplementos de los niños.
And those antibiotics reduce the normal bacteria that normally live inside of our bodies that help our immune systems in countless numbers of ways. When you take probiotics and transfer factor at the same time, and you'll hear Dr. Bennett talk more about this over this weekend, there is no question that they have additive effects on one another. So your immune response will be that much better. That in turn encourages a much better population of good bacteria inside of our bodies as well.
Wow.
Y adicionalmente a los factores de transferencia, los probióticos lo que van a hacer, van a mejorar el sistema inmunológico de sus niños, van a matar la bacteria y va a ser algo mucho mejor.
There is one other product that whose name I can't mention, that you will be hearing about within the next several hours.
Hay otro producto que en este momento no lo puedo mencionar, pero que ustedes también van a saber en las próximas horas en esta convención.
And this is not a product that I would actually recommend for every child, but it is a product that could be very useful for a child of medium age and on, like 8, 9, 10 years old and on, that is severely challenged. And I just want you to kind of tuck that away, and when you hear about one of the new products that you'll know what I'm talking about.
No lo recomendaría este producto a todos los niños, pero sí a aquellos niños que tienen realmente problemas serios de salud, entre 9, 10, 11 años.
Now there's one other product that we have used in this severely ill child who needs a big-time immune boost. And again, I remind you, we're not curing or treating anything when we give these supplements.
Entonces, estos niños que tienen problemas severos de salud, sí lo recomendaría.
It's one of our veterinary animal products. That's right.
Y es un producto de uso veterinario para animales.
The Animal Stress Pack is an awesome product. The Animal Stress Pack. El producto que se llama Stress Pack para animales es muy bueno. And I'm not suggesting that all of you buy some and stick it in your health and wellness cabinet, but it's a good idea to have someone in your town or your community to have it available just in case.
No lo recomendaría para todos los papás y las mamás, pero sí lo recomendaría para alguien en su área.
And all I'll say is this: we had several children that were very ill, and they were getting transfer factor. They were getting transfer factor plus, and when we added the stress pack for a 3-day period of time, it's remarkable how well they responded, their immune systems responded to the challenge.
Oh, really? Wow.
Entonces hicimos la prueba con un niño que estaba bastante enfermos con este producto, el Transferencia, y la respuesta fue muy buena, tuvimos muy buenos resultados.
Okay, now, I know we don't have a whole lot of time left, and I know there are a bunch of questions. I just want to make a couple of comments about the whole transfer factor line and how to decide how much to give children. Now, most of my experience is with transfer factor classical, okay? And the dosing is very, very simple. From 0 to 5 years of age, it's 1 capsule daily. I don't think you have to interpret this. From 5 to about 12, it's 2 capsules daily. And from 12 on, it's 3 capsules daily. Now, how do we dose all the other products that we have? TF trifactor, TF plus trifactor, Rio Vita liquid, Rio Vita gel, TF, TF chewables, and it goes on and on and on, okay? And we're not even talking about the targeted transfer factors yet, all right? Many of which can be used in children as well. What you do is go back to the TF classic dosing, which, by the way, happens to be 200 milligrams of transfer factor per capsule, all right? And then come as close with all the other preparations and figure out what the approximate dosing would be, okay? And, you know, it'll be very close to being exactly the same, all right? Now, and so just think about that. I don't know if we need to interpret. Do we need to interpret that?
No. Yes.
Some people,
A lot of people, yes.
Básicamente lo que dice es que él mucho ha trabajado con el factor de transferencia clásico, pero está recomendando acerca de las dosis entre 0 a 5 años de edad, prácticamente una pildorita, entre 5 a 11 años de edad, que sean 2, 5 a 12, que sean 2, y after 12, o 12 and a half,
3 cups.
3 pildoritas después de los 12 años.
Now, and again, I will repeat, because I'm not sure exactly how much that just included. I repeat, when you go ahead and look at all the other products, look at the number of milligrams of transfer factor in that product, and just back figure approximately the 200, 400, and 600 milligrams, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 capsules of the classic. Okay. So I'll give you, for instance, if one of the preparations has 300 milligrams per tablet or per teaspoon or whatever, okay? That's the equivalent of 1.5 capsules of transfer factor classic.
Is the classic the same as the regular one?
Well, well, to me, the regular one is TF Classic. Okay? So all I'm saying to you is use TF Classic as your base, and then go ahead and figure it out. And by the way, you can't give too much transfer factor. You're not going to hurt the person that you're giving it to, or yourselves for that matter, if you take 10 times the dose. And I proved it myself. You will not hurt your children, your grandchildren, or yourselves if you, quote, consume too much. There is no such thing as too much. This is not a medicine. This is a simple protein. That's all.
Básicamente dice que ustedes tienen en su cajita la cantidad de miligramos que trae, y hasta 300 miligramos podría ser una dosis de una dosis y media de lo que vendría a ser el factor de transferencia clásico. Entonces siempre fíjense en la parte de los miligramos que viene en la caja, y eso tendrían que ser las dosis para nosotros.
All right. Okay, we have to end this in 5 minutes. And we have, I don't know, 50 questions? Who knows? Okay. All right. First of all,